Hey neighbors, the Handyman here with Initiative Coffee Company, the Bill Allen here with Bill Allen World and the Bill Allen. I got nothing. It's time to rise and roll.
Rise and
Oh, that's the thing with the R's.
So, Brian,
Yes, sir.
it's 2019. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Playing signs, something.
That's the Olympics. All right, we're going to start off with Kickstarters. Now, I have just gone to the world, the deep, deep web that is Kickstarter. I don't mean the deep, dark web, but like just the regular Kickstarter. And
That's a whole different...
things popped up, Brian, because Kickstarter, whatever algorithm they're using, they're like, okay.
They're catching on to your nonsense.
Yeah. They're like, every time this nerd logs in, he likes miniatures and terrain. So let's just feed him more of the stuff to buy. So we're going to start off with a couple things. And if you're tuning in live with us here on the Twitches, I'm going to paste this into the chat. And the first one is Tilescape, Gothic City 3D printable modular building system. Boom. And what this is, Brian, is 3D print modular terrain, Gothic City, with Tilescape 2.0, high definition wood and stone textures, epic beasts, and a legendary roof system.
All right.
Now, this is by Rocket Pig Games, and
Sure.
if
I
you're
don't know
part
what
of
a legendary roof system really means, but...
Okay, so I like to think of this movement as the kind of community grassroots-based effort to unseat Dwarven Forge from the terrain game throne. That's a lot of mouth words.
Rather than just providing a less expensive alternative.
Right, a less expensive alternative. But Brian,
it's an active
I too, like
policy
you,
to unseat.
yeah, I too, like you, felt like, what does epic roof system mean? So the crazy thing is that they've developed even more modularity to the roof systems. So you could, like Dwarven Forge roofs are like one block, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if you had a 4x4 and you wanted it to be one big roof instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 weird gabled roofs, right?
Sure.
So now I homebrewed like 3 years ago, figured out a way to do that by flip-flopping, but then it takes more of these roof blocks. They figured out a way to just do it so that it's modular and they go up, and so it's like an infinity. You could build like a 20-piece roof if you wanted to, right? So let's watch. All right. So because 3x3 is better, come on, that's got to be a dig because all the Dwarven Forge stuff is 2x2. Now, just to be fair, people, when I did finally get into the 3D printable game, and it took a little while, I found Devin Jones's 3x3 tiles, and I had a prototype done of that, and then Andy at Andy Films, who we know, at Madly Effects, poured and made a mold and poured those. And the 3x3s are really nice to have.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian, 6,664% funded with 30 days, with a whole month remaining. It just keeps going up. I mean, I checked this a few days ago. It just keeps going up. They had a $500 gold, and they're at 33,000.
All the STL files are already made. Like,
all right, so let's look realistically, because I feel like there's got to be some mystery here. And we've talked when we're looking at other Kickstarters, like why is one doing better than the other? This seems to offer a lot of stuff, but like just some question marks. Like, why is Gothic City mixed with a bunch of Cthulhu boss mobs?
Because Cthulhu boss mobs would be in a Gothic setting.
Okay.
Like,
all right, answered.
Yeah.
Rocket Pig Games, I was saying earlier, is they're like active in the crafting community too. So
cool.
One of the things I like is that they're using that Tilescape 2.0 building system. So if you bought other stuff with that system, not just from them, but or you printed your own from anyone like in that open community, this works. Okay, so, and they even say universal and versatile sets will work well with many types of gaming: Call of Cthulhu, Iron Kingdoms, Malifaux, D&D, Steampunk, Victorian, Gothic settings.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get to it. The pledge of $25 is a Street Rat. This includes the Gothic Streets core set, delivered as downloadable STL files. So for $25, you get a bunch of files. Then it's up to you to print them all out.
Sure.
A pledge of $45 is Gothic Streets and Gothic Buildings. A pledge of $65 is Streets, Buildings, and Castle. And this level is what qualifies for all the unlocked stretch goals. So for $65, you're buying a lot of files.
I mean, any of these STL file Kickstarters, the implication is you already have a printer, right?
And the time to print out.
And the time to print.
I mean, like if you looked at their demo village.
Yeah, it takes forever. Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be like a year of printing?
You're probably looking at like overnight per piece, right? You can probably print 2 pieces a day, one at night and one like before you go to work, and hope that it doesn't fail, right? Depending on your printer, if you have a high-end printer, it'll print faster. But like, I think this is targeting
the people who want to do it themselves,
right?
So here's what's weird. It goes from that $65 pledge where you get the 3 core sets plus the unlock. Then it jumps to $200. And I'm like, what? So this makes sense. So if you want like everything, that's what that is. Yeah. So now you get the 3 core sets, but you get all the Tilescape terrain add-ons: Cathedral, Train, Airship, Steamship, Cemetery, Crypt, Merchant District, Industrial Sector, Outskirts, Rock Coast Lighthouse, Windmill, Docks, Carts and Carriages, Siege Weapons.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of stuff.
So if you didn't invest in anything before and you're like, I want the files to everything, and I'll just print forever. So Brian, here's a question for you as from a business perspective. What if I bought all those for $200 and then I contracted some 3D printing company that could print all that crap out super fast, right? Like, I'm talking about an industrial company.
Right, you would have to talk to
Rocket Pig?
Rocket Pig.
Okay.
Because
I was like, why wouldn't I just buy their files for $200, subcontract some printing thing that has like 30 printers that can just jump that, you know.
So if you remember, maybe a month ago, there was another one of these STL file Kickstarters where like the upper tier was like distribution rights.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you would have to get distribution rights.
That makes sense. So for $300, you get all the crap and the epic monsters, all the Cthulhu kind of stuff. For $625, you get all the crap, plus all the epic monsters, plus the King of Thieves add-on package and the Stout-Hearted Heroes add-on package. What? Okay, so here's the other thing. They have a at $60, they have the Fortune Seeker Early Bird Pledge. Now, they limited it to 100 backers, so it filled up right away. So for $60, 100 backers, right off the bat, that's $600, which clears their $500 goal. All right. And that gives you the 3 basic sets. So it's an incentive for $60. You save $5 to pledge early, and you get all 3 of the unlocks.
Yeah.
And that's their guarantee that they're clearing it. So strategically, because sometimes we talk about the marketing or the strategy involved with the Kickstarter, that was a really good move.
Right.
They have a ton of pictures of all their stuff. They had a really nice video, a lot of angles. I mean, who wouldn't want this? I think it just comes down to like time and money, right? So you know, if you print all these pieces, you're talking about not even hundreds, thousands of parts. Thousands of parts. It's going to take you forever to do it.
Right.
But at the same time, let's say you buy that for $200. And it's, you know, even if over the course of a couple of years you do that, now for $200 and then your time and your filament and your printer cost, you've saved relative to like Dwarven Forge, thousands. Right? If I bought all this already made, especially if I bought it painted, it would have been just an absurd amount of money. So I guess it's a question of like your value and what you like to do with your time. If you're a big 3D printer
buff, like for sure.
For sure. This seems like a pretty good deal, and I can't even just it goes on and on. Like literally the amount of stuff that you get is ridiculous.
This looks like 3 or 4 years of work.
Yes.
Just kind of like piled onto one Kickstarter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like clearly they've been working on this a while.
And you know what? Maybe if you're not reselling it, I'm thinking now about this, you know, if you're not reselling it, but let's say you buy $200 worth of STL files and you have 2 or 3 friends, you know, you guys can divvy up the files. So one person can be working on the streets, another person's working on buildings, another one's just doing the castle, you know, so you can kick that out in a lot, you know, shorter amount of time.
This seems to be the same model as like, oh, hey, Duty.
He's like, hey, too laggy, bye. All right. Yeah, so it's an interesting model, but
it seems to be the same model that like D&D Beyond is using, where like they don't expect one person to pay for all of that. I don't think. I think the expectation is like a gaming group is getting together so that they can all afford this package to work on in the future. You know?
Yep. Indeed. All right, the next one is the Skyless Realms, 3D printable tabletop models. 3D printable STL files for terrain, buildings, monsters, minis, and more for your deep, dark, underground tabletop adventures. So, I don't like to normally do 2 of the same kind because that might be boring, and this is, in fact, 3D printable. But just a couple things of note. There's no video. $19,302 of a $5,000 goal. Okay, so the first one we saw had a $500 goal and had like 33 grand. This has 20 days to go. They've exceeded their goal, but not quite as well, maybe. So I'm wondering what the package holds. So let's take a look. For $40, minis only, the core pack of minis.
That's not.
Well, let's see what the core pack includes, because there's no video.
I don't mean that. I mean like the labeling on these tiers is not
smart,
conducive to making me want to participate in these tiers.
Right. So scatter, buildings, and terrain only is 45. 70 is all in, minis and scatter. So then they have a ton of pictures, but not. Oh wow, and they're linked to external links. That's really weird. So they have a ton of pictures, and here's what I like. These kind of have a very alien / maybe otherworldly look to them. So I kind of think they're a little, I mean, I could see you using them in a sci-fi setting, but also like, oh, this is the weird lost race of elves, or the ASMR city of blah, blah, blah. See what I mean? Like, it's, you know, the architecture is kind of a little bit different from the standard medieval stuff.
I think it's just drow cities.
Drow cities?
Like, I think that's what, like, everything is spider themed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Okay, and then there's your distribution rights. So for $300, you get the rights to distribute and print and sell. Okay, so there's your minis. Yeah, you're pretty much right. They all look like drow and driders and underdark kind of creatures. Roper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skyless
realms, yeah. So they instead of underdark, which they can't use. So there we go.
Dark Elf
Tower, Dark Elf Palace. Yeah, you were right, Brian. Yeah. Look at you. Noble House.
Temple of the Spider Goddess.
Yep. Yeah. Unholy Spider Chapel.
Right. Very much hugging that copywritten line, but staying just outside of it.
Cavern Pillars. So there's a bunch of scatter and buildings and terrain.
Yeah. I mean, there's cool stuff here, right?
Mushroom Hut.
I think
there's a lot of stuff.
I'm just turned off by the labels, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I would make a tier. I wouldn't put the word only in any of my tiers if I was doing a card.
Right.
A Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel like I'm not getting as much of a value. I don't know. It's cool builds, though.
What? Dungeon sticks. Tile sets have their place, but for organic caverns, they are unruly and hard to use. To that end, I developed Dungeon Sticks, a 2.5D terrain system built of walls and entrances to build out your caverns on top of a battle mat or a table. Okay. Brian?
I can't imagine it's real exciting to watch us watch videos.
That's right. Brian, right prior to the end of the year, right around the holiday time, I got a box.
From Uncle Greg.
Greg Tito from Wizards of the Coast sent us a care package. And in my understanding, this was supposed to, you had the privilege of being able to go up to Wisconsin on a really cool shoot that I wasn't able to go on because I was on Gaming Weekend. And when Greg found out that I was going to be on Gaming Weekend with a bunch of guys who we've been getting together for years and we're all old and dads and D&D, he's like, oh, I'm going to send you guys something. So then he sends us
and
box.
then he sent you everything.
Yeah. So he sent us the everything. So, I mean, we have stickers, which we'll be able to give out in future episodes, sticker packs, dice that we'll be able to use for the Bard's Tale. Just basically, he just ramped up the library of things.
Cool.
And so some of those things, Brian, will include this awesome Dungeon Tiles reincarnated box. So there's a crazy amount.
Yeah, so Dungeon Tiles.
And it's Wilderness.
Yeah. So the Dungeon Tiles originally came out during 4th edition.
Yeah.
And they had Wilderness, Caverns, City.
Yeah.
I think they had 3 of them.
So, and they've
still just recently started like putting out new ones or re-releasing them.
Right, and even before the branded version, I remember this goes back to 1st edition.
I see why you sent them.
Yeah. That happened with us.
Did it?
Yeah, Justin Miller had cardboard tiles like this that we used to use all the time.
It's like, paper craft is a big part of crafting.
So,
are you ready? This is my favorite part.
Yeah. I'm looking through this stuff and I'm like, oh, it's double. Each side has its own function and purpose. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So we'll have to use that. And then he goes ahead and sends even more stuff. So he sends both of these Waterdeep books. So Mad Mage and Dragon Heist, which we did not have here at the library. So, for any of our gaming needs or one-shots or potentially future campaigns, that's awesome resources.
Cool.
He did send us not Xanathar's guide, not Volo's guide.
Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Yeah, the Tome of Foes. But Beecher borrowed that because he's planning a one-shot.
Okay.
And then he sent us this coloring book, which will be great because...
we'll make some photocopies during...
Yeah, there's Mordenkainen's.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's the nice cover, too.
Yeah. So we got all those really nice gift pack.
That's cool.
Things and more. Just branded D&D dice, all sorts of cool stuff. Nobody can probably hear me because I'm not talking.
Mordenkainen is cool, but very focused.
Yes.
So if you're looking for demons and devils, this is your place.
Yeah.
It's a holdover from 3rd edition's Fiend Folios. They did 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, so I was really,
2 of them, I think.
really honored, blown away by that.
He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, he always sends more than... Like, he's like, oh, I'm going to send you some stuff. And I'm like, oh, cool.
I was thinking, like, a set of dice.
Right.
Like, it was like
Right.
a 30-pound box.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Thank you, Greg Tito
Yeah.
and Wizards of the Coast. Of course, you know, here on the show we talk about a lot of things, not just D&D, but we do talk a lot about D&D.
We talk disproportionately
Yeah.
about D&D.
Yeah. So speaking of which, just to shift, well, it'll still be tied to D&D,
Yeah.
but just on a broader spectrum, a lot of people start off playing tabletop role-playing games, and then they get into video games associated with
Sure.
that. But then I think there's a whole generation of young folks who play some video games that are kind of fantasy-based, but then get into the tabletop thing because
Sure.
they want the real
I
deal.
think that's increasing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that population is
Yeah.
growing.
So, just on a sort of topical level, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, Brian. I heard about this, and there's a link to the most recent issue of Dragon Plus that I'm going to post in the chat for all of you people. So give me the rundown of Idle Champions. It basically just
Sure.
to me looks like the kind of game that you could play without having to worry about some 14-year-old kid owning you. Am I right?
I mean, Idle Champions is a good game for folks who have 5 minutes at a time to play a game.
There you go. That's what I mean.
Right? It's literally an idle game. So you just you can either have it on in the
What does that
background.
mean?
It means
So
you don't have
for
to
all
do
the
anything.
people. So for all the people my age or older, when I think of video games, a lot of times I think, oh, I'd like to play that game, but if I play it online in some open world, some 14-year-old or 10-year-old now will just own me.
To my knowledge, there's not a PvP
Okay.
component.
So you get to play a game.
I would say it's largely like an interactive screensaver.
Okay. So you kind of go through
Yeah.
a game and you play it, and it's just you playing the game. And if you get a business call or you get interrupted,
So there's 2 things. One, it can go on in the background because I think it's pretty low. Like, it doesn't have a huge power draw or processor draw because it is very the graphics are pretty cartoony.
okay.
So it's not and there's not cool explosions and 1,000 things on screen at a time.
Okay, so it's pretty simple, it's pretty low res.
Low res, and I think you can probably, depending on where you work, you could probably just have it on in the background and it could run.
You mean like how the ladies in the business office have solitaire?
Yeah, just like that. But also, the cool thing about idle games is even if you close out of them, it'll continue working.
Okay.
Right? So when you log back in, it's not 100% of what you would make if the game was open. Think of it as a long-term disability check, right?
Right.
It's 60% of the rewards you
But
would
you
get.
save, it saves your progress constantly, so you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about oh crap, I had to.
Yeah.
So okay, so then and you just play through adventures.
Yeah, so they have adventures based off of the hard books that have come out for D&D. Or whatever D&D is pushing
And do you
this month.
play just one character, or do you play a whole
You
party?
end up building a team. So you start as
okay.
a character.
Okay.
I think it's Drist, I think.
All right. So you
and then
build
you end up, or no, it's Brunner. And then progressively you get gold, and when you get enough gold you can unlock extra characters, which goes up to and including the Dice Camera Action Crew is included in some of the higher tier
Satine
stuff.
has a character too, right?
Satine has a character in it now.
Volania, yeah.
There's a lot of, they're really focusing on the kind of ancillary or not so ancillary stuff going on at Wizards.
So it's definitely an idle game, but this Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms is really specifically a link back to D&D.
Yeah.
And the published material.
And it's who does it? Codename Entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's a licensed product for D&D.
All right. Shifting gears, Brian, did you ever play Dungeons & Dragons Online, also known as DDO?
I did briefly. Greg
Yeah.
is a huge DDO fan.
So when it first came out, I'm talking whenever that was,
Right.
years ago, right? Chris Potoff was like, hey, we gotta, so I got on board, and it was kind of cool because we were like playing, and we'd get together and play. But then everybody's schedules fell apart, and we could never play at the same time. And then I just stopped playing for a while.
Right.
And then I like came back, and I was like, I still have a login and a password. I wonder if it works, and it does. And like, I don't know how many years it's been now.
Right.
6
so
years.
it's a free-to-play MMO, which is nice.
Free-to-play, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. You build a character, and it's based on 3rd edition or 3.5. It like
3.5.
3.5. Yeah. It is. So if you just started playing with 4th or 5th edition, it's a little weird because the rule set's based on 3.5. That's the mechanics for how the video game works. But there's different servers, which is like each one's its own world.
Yeah.
So you get 1 character per server for the free game, or 2 per server for the free game. But you could buy your way up.
Sure.
There's all sorts of like loot crates. You know, if you want to spend money, you could pimp out your character.
It's like one of the early. One of the early utilizers of microtransactions in terms of like, I remember like when it came out. No, that was for Neverwinter. It's the first of 2 MMOs that have come out under the D&D label. The second is Neverwinter. Right.
So I played Neverwinter Nights.
No, Neverwinter is an MMO. Neverwinter Nights is an isometric top-down.
Right. So I played Neverwinter Nights and Neverwinter Nights 2. I don't think I ever played Neverwinter as an MMO. Right.
So Neverwinter the MMO is...
Did that come out after DDO?
Yeah, it came out during 4th edition. So it uses a 4th edition rule set. I play it off and on. Yeah. The problem with these MMOs is if they're not like... Basically, if they're not WoW, eventually they stop getting... Like, the support kind of dries up because it's a free-to-play. They're still putting out content for both of them.
Right, which is funny because like I thought DDO was dead, and for a long while even after I went back to it, and then I stopped for a while.
Yeah, so the last thing that both of the games have put out is a Barovia module, which Barovia came out years ago. Yeah. But for whatever reason, they didn't put out the modules when the book came out, so they put them out now instead.
So like a Curse of Strahd kind of thing.
So I know Neverwinter has modules for Barovia, Chult, the Well of Dragons scenario from Rise of Tiamat. They have a Storm King's Thunder scenario. I haven't logged into DDO in probably 5 years, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I was kind of like more on the 2-year tip.
Yeah.
And I couldn't log in. I had to download 10,000 updates and patches. Like it took, and I'm not exaggerating, it was literally like 10,000.
Yeah, that's what happens every time that you
step away
from a game for a long time.
Right, like, but in a way that's good because it shows that they're like doing stuff, right? So one interesting thing that you were mentioning that I was going to bring up this in Dragon Plus, I posted if you're in the Twitch chat right now, I posted a link. So as Dungeons and Dragons Online approaches its 13th anniversary, that's about right. I felt like it was at least 10 years.
That seems right.
Yeah. So that's crazy, dude. It's crazy. White Plume Mountain and other tales. So they've added content along the way. So maybe you're one of the people who is like, I've always wanted to play D&D, but I can't play it. Try playing some of these games. Yeah. Try finding people
DDO
to play
was
with
tough
online.
for me because I couldn't get out of like the starter area.
Yeah.
Like there's a long
learning curve.
Well, not learning curve, but like the starter area mission is a long mission. So it's like,
and it goes on and on.
Like 2 hours to get to the main part of the game.
Yes.
I'm told you can skip that, but I don't really know how.
Right.
But yeah.
I would actually stay in the baby playpen and
like
max out my characters.
Right, so you don't get wrecked by 14-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. So here, we'll touch on a couple things. So we talked about Neverwinter. The Elder Scrolls games. Sure. So Skyrim is the one that I got into.
Yeah,
I never
Oblivion
actually
came out before that. Yeah. And then Morrowind before that.
But that's very D&D-ish. In their own way. It's got that fantasy vibe, and it's very cool, and you're building characters.
Elder Scrolls 6 or Elder Scrolls 7.
Yes.
They've only announced it. They haven't.
And then for what I would say in the category of more child-friendly things is like Fable. Or Fate.
I've never played Fate.
Okay,
Fable
Fate
has some adult themes to it. I would say like like PG-13-ish.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't let your 7-year-old play it.
So I think Fable maybe is more what you say, like maybe tween and teen.
Yeah.
But Fate is kind of an even more kid-friendly
Is it?
version of Fable. To me, that's what it looks like. You know, where you have a character, you have missions, and it's fantasy-based.
Sure.
We skipped over the big one, World of Warcraft. But, I mean,
it's there. I'm way more excited about... I mean, I've played World of Warcraft a lot. But I'm really excited they're re-releasing Warcraft 3, which is the RTS game rather than the MMO.
Okay. Well, so let me ask you this. I'm going to say 2 other games. EverQuest and Asheron's Call.
Sure, yeah. I was 7 when those came out. I've never played either one of them.
Yeah, those are like the precursors.
By the time that I was like old enough to realize that EverQuest was a thing, it was already being
like
shut down because too many people were making too much money off of it.
Yeah, so those were really going way back pre World of Warcraft MMO stuff.
No, Neverwinter Nights is a cool couple of games in line with that isometric series. So it started with Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate
2.
Yeah. Did they ever do a Waterdeep? Like,
I'm trying to think.
I don't know if they did.
I don't think so. There's an Icewind Dale one. There's a Planescape one.
But it all kind of links back.
Yeah. The last one that came out was Heroes or Champions of the Sword Coast.
Sword Coast, yeah.
Something. Yeah, and that was with 5th Ed.
So I guess, you know, that's one thing is that there are a lot of like free or really cheap to play games. If you kind of want to try out some fantasy and D&D based games, there are many options. All right, so moving on to products. Brian, I posted the link to Twitch. WizKids is making Icons of the Realms, the Falling Star sailing ship. Now, it looks supremely cool.
Yeah.
But also kind of expensive.
It's a $200 price point. Yeah, it's
for terrain. I mean, let's bear this in mind. $199, currently sold out.
Right.
And
that's the promotional price.
Right. Now, fantastic, fully painted miniature of colossal stature and tremendous detail stands a whopping 17.2 inches tall and 6.4 inches wide and has a myriad of features. Additionally, the deck tiles are reversible with or without grid lines. Oh, thank God. This feature-rich ships... No. That makes no sense. Includes multiple stackable deck tiles, allowing players to fight on the deck or in the dark underbelly of the ship, magnetized removable masts, removable staircases, and even functional hatches on the sides for you to open fire upon your enemies. Perfect for aquatic adventures, one-shot side quests, or even taking on the godlike Kraken. The Icons of the Realms Falling Star sailing ship is sure to bring marvelous excitement to your tabletop. So it's fully painted.
Sure.
So it's not like you're buying an STL file.
Right.
Or an unpainted thing. I mean, it's basically ready to play.
And it's magnetized.
It's got a lot of cool features. Not gonna lie.
My concern is like how long are those magnets gonna hold?
Yeah.
Right. Like over time, those magnets are gonna get weaker, and your masts are gonna fall over.
So one thing that we did with the Bard's Tale, it was the very first like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Was we brought in my son Angus's
like
toy,
Playmobil,
his Playmobil pirate sailing ship, and used it, and it was fantastic.
Right.
It's huge because it's made for Playmobil guys, which are this big, but even the minis on it, like, it kind of worked. So if you don't have $199, but you want to do some cool Sword Coast adventure...
I think it's going to be $280 by the time it fully launches.
Oh, well, I mean, if it's sold out, people will be selling this. I guarantee we'll see this on eBay for double.
Well, they're going to do another run.
Yeah.
But I think the retail price point is $280, I think.
It was like when they first released the miniature monster set that had the Demogorgon. It went crazy.
Yeah.
And people were buying out the stock and selling them online, and parents were buying them, and people were buying them because of Stranger Things. And they're like, the Demogorgon. And now you can, it's restocked. But
here's what I will say about this ship is Wizards has announced that their first module of 2019 coming out in this, like, I think it'll be announced in February.
Yeah. What
is it? It's going to be they haven't announced what it is, but it's going to be very
Ship-based?
sailing heavy.
Yes.
So it's a product tie-in with whatever they're deciding to put out. It
Smart.
could be Sword Coast. It could be the South Seas. It could be, there's a ton of water in Faerun.
Yes.
It could be the new setting that one of their books was supposed to have this year.
I know nothing about Ravnica, so does it have water?
It won't be Ravnica.
Okay.
They announced, Wizards announced last year that one of the 3 books they put out this year was going to be a new campaign setting.
Okay, so Eberron has like airships though, right? So that wouldn't be this.
Probably. It probably has water, but if you were going to do a tie-in with Eberron,
most of them do airship
instead.
stuff. Okay,
so my guess is it'll be something Faerun based, or like maybe a different Magic the Gathering setting, depending on how well Ravnica did. I haven't really seen the numbers from Ravnica.
Okay.
So whatever like the blue deck city is location is, I don't know. I don't play a lot of Magic, but I know that blue is islands. So
okay. So, it's got some usefulness. If you have the money, obviously it'd be a great part of your collection.
Cool. It looks cool.
Yeah. And a lot of legit features. If you don't have the money, people, keep your eyes open for garage sales and church resales and school resales where they sell toys, and maybe buy like a kid's sailing ship
think
toy.
like if you went and bought the Playmobil pirate ship today, you'd still be paying like $100.
Yeah, I think they're not cheap.
Yeah,
but
the Lego set boats are
brand new,
$100 to $180.
Right.
Like,
keep your eyes open for the garage sales, people. All right, Brian. Let's do a quick update from the World of Initiative Coffee Company. So, for those of you who don't know, the Bard's Tale is just continuing on with Season 3. Things are heating up, and we, in fact, have another taping coming up this week. So things are going well there. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably have already subscribed. But spread the word, because the Bard's Tale is, as far as I know, I'm very cautious about using the word unique, Brian. But we came up with the Bard's Tale as an idea to run an actual play of an all-bard party.
And then you spoiled it.
Well, yes. But we're the only all-bard party actual play with a cook. Because I was going to say we're the only all-bard actual play, but I think Sirens of the Realms does that too.
Yeah, it's a little bit different though. I think Sirens of the Realms is like everyone has a level of bard. And then they also have their other classes.
Right.
Where I think like the thing that really sets us apart is that like no one could take other levels until 4th level.
True.
To the point that I think only one person is cross-class so far at 5th.
Yeah.
So, it's really 5 bards and a cook rather than 5 minstrels who happen to have other skills and abilities and...
Yes. Yeah. And it's fun.
Not that Sirens of the Realms isn't a fantastic show.
Right. But, if you like bards and you need more bard in your life, then go ahead and share it. Because we want to blow this up.
Ever assumed that bards, a party of all bards, could not be successful and would ultimately fail at everything they do, come watch the Bard Show and prove it to yourself.
Yes. Now, in addition, you've just recently started up a new show.
Yep.
Called Long Rest.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, tell us, where is Long Rest set?
Sure.
And tell us about the cast. Give us a little scoop on this.
Insight. So Long Rest is takes place in Anathema as well, in the main continent of Vol, but kind of off west of the mountains. So within like the purview of the Empire, but not necessarily within its reach.
So is it kind of like the Wild Wild West?
A little bit, I guess. I would say think more like Britannica during the Roman Empire.
Oh, so
like they claim dominion, but like everybody's like, you're not.
It's so far away from the Empire that they're kind of
but it's we're using the Monster of the Week system, which is a lot more streamlined and narrative focused.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. For our viewers and for
so
Bill.
it's part of the Powered by the Apocalypse lineup of games.
Okay. So when you say you're using that system, you're saying it's like a completely different rule set.
Yeah, so
Different
you need
dice,
like
different...
it's 2d6 for everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so the idea is that they call it the keeper instead of like a GM or a DM, but as the keeper, I don't roll dice, and then
everybody rolls
dice. So
so even for like the bad guys,
to do a thing. Well, yeah. So if you're like fighting a bad guy, you make what's called a kick some ass roll, and then you either, if you roll less than 6 on 2d6, you fail. 7 to 9 is a mitigated success, and then 10 and above is a good success.
Okay.
Right. So if you roll 10 or above, like you're successful. If you roll 7 to 9, you successfully attack, but you also take damage. If you fail, you take damage. The leveling up system is different. Like you have to get 5 experience to level up, and you get experience by failing rolls, or everybody like sits down at the end of like an arc, and we decide like, did we meet these criteria this week?
Very, very narrative.
Yeah, so I like the idea of like
far
less. It really
less.
builds in the notion of like learning from failure.
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting thing. Like you don't level up if you're successful all the time.
That's interesting. That's kind of an interesting approach.
Yep.
So, what about the cast and like, so who's in it and who are they playing?
Sure. So for the game, I really wanted to focus on the notion of regular people rather than like heroic adventurers.
Okay.
So the theme behind the game is kind of like what happens to the people adventurers leave behind, right? So adventurers come through town, kind of like the Stormcrow scenario. Like adventurers come through town and like kill big monsters, and then they take off, and the people who live in that town still have to deal with wolves.
There's a rotting dragon in the middle of town.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And it hasn't gotten that tongue-in-cheek. We've had one episode, you know. But the cast are our friend Phil, who did the music for Season 3 of The Bard's Tale.
Okay.
And for Rise and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Marie, who has been on shoots with us, and then
most notably Gen Con.
And then our friend Jeff that comes to our Saturday night program.
Okay.
So we shoot twice a month, typically the second and fourth Saturdays of the month.
And it's live on the Initiative Twitch. Okay. And now, who are they playing?
Saturday.
Like, in terms of like the characters that they're playing, and I don't know, are there classes or archetypes? Like, how does that
there's
work?
like they're called playbooks.
Okay.
So like they really like try to link it to. So Monster of the Week is a modern system.
Okay.
So we're kind of adapting it for a fantasy setting.
Okay.
So they really link it to like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer type scenario. So like the playbooks are like the Divine or the Mundane. So like the Mundane would be like the Xander character in Buffy.
Right.
So Phil is playing a tavern owner named nope. Her pony's name is Della, and she is, what is her playbook? She's mundane.
Okay.
Jeff is playing an artisan who's a farmer.
Okay.
Named Eamon, and then Marie is playing a divine named V, who's a baker, and also a little bit of a stalker of Della.
Okay.
So we had a good time Saturday shooting the first episode. We shot a session 0 in December. We'll probably start porting that stuff to YouTube soon. Ultimately, we want to do an audio podcast out of it to kind of have some extra stuff for the Patreon.
Cool.
So
what's the arc? I mean, is the idea that these relatively like normal people are going to go through different conflicts and stuff and ultimately build to become the heroes of the story? Or is the idea to kind of stay normal and survival mode?
I guess a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about Monster of the Week is it really focuses on the exploration and social components of playing an RPG rather than combat, right? So the idea is like So the first arc, they found out that they're dealing with a dire stag, right?
Okay.
And so the idea is like, if you go and try to kill this dire stag right off the bat, you will die. So
Right.
you have to find like its weaknesses and like figure out creative ways to trap it or ambush it or whatever.
Right.
And they're really like that focus, I think, lends itself more to narrative storytelling than just like I huck dice, I swing hammers, it dies.
Okay.
Right. Which there's a market for, absolutely. That's
Right.
why we do it on the Bard's Tale.
Yeah.
But with the new show, I really wanted to explore the idea of like, does this setting work in different systems, right? So like, can another system be successful with this setting? And I don't see why not. I don't know that settings and systems are necessarily tied.
Well, we've talked about that
Yeah.
a lot, and I agree with you that I think especially more experienced DMs and groups can adapt and modify and should.
You know, I'm
push
excited.
yourself.
I'm excited because Marie's never played an RPG.
Well, right,
before.
and then if you have
Right.
no experience,
Yeah,
then it doesn't
like-
really you're not biased.
That's the exciting thing for me. And she was really concerned about like, I've never done this before. How's it going to work? And I was like, well, none of us have played this system before.
Yep.
So we're all in the same boat at this point.
Excellent.
So, I'm excited about it. It's all concurrent with the Bard's Tale. It's just in a very different region.
Yeah.
So there might be like narrative links between the two stories if they come up. I'm not really trying to force that because I don't know that it's necessarily...
It's so far apart that there's a good chance that there wouldn't be anything
Right.
linking them.
Or you'd have to like really pay attention and watch both shows to see the links.
Right.
But
Global
ultimately,
affecting
yeah.
things. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's cool. So that will be live on Twitch. If you're not already tracking the initiative Twitch, you could do that, and then eventually maybe port it over for podcast availability and that kind of stuff for the patrons.
We'll probably throw it on YouTube just to have extra content there.
Yeah.
We're looking at like, I think for Twitch we were live for an hour.
Okay.
We might try to shoot more episodes at once in the future, but just for like the first episode, I wanted to just kind of like get our wheels underneath us.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Good call. So we have arrived at the end of the show, which means it's time for Monster Monday. I'm going to check in with the people. Wisdom Knight. Hey, Wisdom Knight, how's it going? Wisdom Knight shared a nice link with us.
Cool.
I think that's actually what we covered in the beginning of the show, Wisdom Knight. So thank you for tuning in. So here we go, Brian. Since, in honor of Greg Tito, we are going to Monster Monday with some demons and devils.
Sure.
Because why not? All right, so Brian, I will start. Oh, by the way, here are some stickers. See the stickers? See, Dave?
Stickers.
So we tagged the books with some of the stickers that he sent. All right, say stop.
Stop.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
What? These are deadly.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone from like low-level stuff to just murder
I mean,
death.
that's part of Morgan Cannon's Tome of Foes.
Challenge
Demons and
21.
devils, yeah.
Oh, God.
It's rough.
What is it?
It's a Astral Dreadnought. It's bad news.
I can't even come up with that. I'm going to go over to this side, Brian.
The Allops.
Yeah, which is a Challenge 5. But I've never used them, so I need to read what this is. So we'll just split it. We'll do two. The Allop. When a mind uncovers a secret that a powerful being has protected with the mighty curse, the result is often the emergence of an Allop. Secrets protected in this manner range in scope from a demon lord's true name to the hidden truths of the cosmic order. The Allop acquires the secret, but the curse annihilates its body and leaves behind a spectral creature composed of fragments from the victim's psyche and overwhelming psychic agony. That's nightmarish.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does the Allop do? So it's a medium undead, neutral evil, incorporeal movement, maddening touch, whispers of madness, howling. This is like a Cthulhu thing. An Allop doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep.
Well, it's incorporeal, isn't it?
That's so it's a ghostly creature of nightmarish proportions. Whisper of madness, Howling Babble. So wait, does this thing come after you if you learn a secret? Or is this because it learned a secret and it failed its Cthulhu
that's
mythos?
That's what Monster Monday is all about. You got to figure that out yourself.
God, this is hard. All right, I'm going to have to think about that while you're...
I have to page over to the next page because this entry goes on a while.
And you have the what, Brian? Astral Dreadnought.
I have Astral Dreadnought, which is
sweet Jesus.
At least as old as 3rd edition. What do you think?
Okay, so now I'm reading it, and I'm laughing because it kind of reminds me of what I did to your character, Ron, in The Handyman.
Sure.
Except I didn't have a creature for it.
Right.
But it kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, it's bad news. Don't touch giant
Strange
black
phrases
stones.
echo through their minds, and weird visions occupy their dreams.
Spooky. I don't like it.
All right, here we go. And maybe I'll just scam this one and all right, here's what happens. While exploring an underground cavern, the party comes across almost by accident, like where they lean up against a chunk of wall and the wall breaks through because it's very thin from like erosion and water, and they break through into a tomb. An old tomb that was sealed up eons ago. And there's all sorts of like statues and a sarcophagus and weird old writing that predates anything that anybody speaks, right? Maybe somebody has comprehend languages prepared, but probably not because most parties are full of murder hobos and they don't take useful spells like that. So they don't know what these ancient scripts mean. Which are basically warnings like, get out of here. Don't come close to this thing.
Awful thing.
So curiosity, of course, being what it is, the gold-encrusted sarcophagus is what they're going to open. And they're going to do it cautiously because they think a mummy's in there. They open it up however they open it up, after probably paranoidically checking for traps a million times. But it doesn't really matter because there's nothing left inside except ashes. But what happens is that they unlock this secret of the person who was in this sarcophagus, and that summons the Alep. And they start hearing, the group starts to hear these whispers in the chamber all of a sudden, and they have to make saving throws. And then they take a bunch of psychic damage, and they're not sure where it's coming from. And then they see this shadow emerge, not from the sarcophagus, but just through the wall, because it could do that. And then it starts howling and doing this babble attack, and they're not sure how to attack it and how to defeat it. It has damage immunities. Oh, God. It has so many different immunities. Damage resistances to acid, fire, lightning, thunder, bludgeoning, piercing, and from non-magical attacks. Damage immunities to cold, necrotic, and poison. Condition immunities to being charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, or restrained. You can't sleep it. So basically, it's just going to haunt them throughout the rest of the cavern until they figure out how to defeat it. And it'll drive them mad.
Sure.
Now, eventually, if they do defeat it, cheerio for them. Then they'll find some big, fat tome that's magical. And it's got like a silver inlaid inscription on the front cover, which is the only reason why the paper inside of it hasn't disintegrated. Because it's protected from the eons. And then they'll be like, yes, we got this amazing treasure. But really, it's going to be a hella curse. Because the minute they start delving into it, they'll get all this arcane information and useful spells. But it'll also be slowly poisoning their mind. Because this tome, in fact, is what caused the Alep to turn into an Alep. You're up.
Astro Dreadnought. AC 20, 297 hit points. Fly speed of 80 feet with hover. CR 21.
And it's gargantuan.
It's gargantuan. Well, it's not God. It's a Titan. So, close. Astral Dreadnoughts are tough because they only exist on the astral plane. So there has to be a reason that the party is on the astral plane. I would say this late in the campaign, we're looking at
level 15.
15, yeah, realistically, or I mean higher with some minion type things. I'm gonna say 15 though, and I'm gonna say for some reason the party has to get maybe Commonwealth is being blockaded and the party has to travel away. And planar travel is not a way to do that. So they decide, like, oh, we're going to go and check out we're going to go travel by the astral plane because it's faster. Nope, that'd be the shadow plane.
What if the key to unlocking the blockade was hidden in the astral plane?
That's true. That could be interesting. Yeah,
so they have to get that.
So the other thing is, like, to get to the astral plane, there are not a lot of ways to do that. I think you have to be pretty high level to be able to access it. Maybe a plane shift would work. So there's some kind of reason. Maybe someone's soul is trapped on the astral plane.
Bing.
Yeah, someone's soul is trapped on it's the Empress's soul, and that's why she's been kind of a wad for the last few years.
Yep.
She's trapped on the astral plane. The only way to get this blockade to end is to get her soul back in her body so she can end it. And they are traveling via the astral plane to presumably Vol, where her soul is being kept. On the way, they encounter this terrible beast. It should be noted that astral dreadnoughts are not aligned in any way. They are neutral entities. They are created by, in D&D mythos, Thasradun, who is like the void before the deities started, is where all the aberrations come from. So the Far Realm.
It's horrific.
Yeah. Maybe even Thasradun is the one that is an agent of Thasradun, or my setting's equivalent is the one that's imprisoning the Empress's soul so that it can weaken the barrier and come back, right?
Oh my god, it has the ability to sever the silver cord. So that could explain why people are just trapped there. And the party has to...
When your silver cord is severed, you get, like, ported back to your body.
Oh, I thought it meant you were trapped in the astral plane. I'm old and I don't remember new rules.
I don't remember. One of them, like, just dying in the astral plane ports you back to your body. This, for sure, traps you there. That's bad news. He also has a swallow ability that puts you in a pocket plane until he decides to not have you in his pocket plane.
Noah in the whale.
It's not great.
No, Jonah in the whale.
Jonah in the whale.
Jonah in the whale.
Noah didn't have the whale.
Noah was in the
boats. So yeah, I think like this is just an obstacle, a big obstacle in the party trying to save the soul of the Empress.
This is a runaway. Run.
I mean,
you can't run in the astral plane though.
I don't know.
So that would about sum up this episode of Rise and Roll, because and if you're encountering these creatures on Monster Monday, woe unto you, my friends. So hopefully you all will have a great week of gaming, and we will be back next week.
Next week,
I think. So stick around.
Is next week Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah. Is it?
No, that's in February, isn't it?
Nope. It's coming up.
It's next week.
We'll see ya. Peace out. Bye.